Hi, and welcome to today's Pick a Card reading. So I'm really excited to do today's reading, but before I begin, I just want to say my name is Cassie, and I'm the reader behind MomentsAre. And if you want to know anything about me, it's going to be in the description, as well as the timestamps. All right, so this reading is going to be looking at what's going to happen in 2021 for you. All right. Yes, it's a general reading, but we're going to be looking at all sorts of different aspects of what is going to be coming up through your year. We're going to be looking at relationship aspects, you know, anything that might be troublesome, and we're going to be making a lot of predictions in this reading. Okay, so in one way it's kind of different because it's going to be focused more on predictive aspect of making these readings. Okay. For those of you who don't like long readings, I'm going to go ahead and tell you this is going to be a long reading. So if you don't like long ones, maybe this one won't be for you. But most of my audience does like longer ones. So just know that it might take, you know, if you can't watch more than maybe 10 minutes at a time, it might take you like a couple of times before you can go through the whole reading, which is fine. This is going to be one of those situations where it's really important to just pick one pile. I know some people pick more than one piles and all of that. Just because we're talking about the whole year and because of the way that I've organized this, it's going to be really important just to pick one pile. All right. And that's just, you know, me asking you, you can pick all 6 if you want to. It's just, it's not going to be as accurate. All right. Okay. So at the end of this video, as always, I'm going to have some news. So if you want to find out any news and stuff like that, there will be a timestamp for that. Okay. Otherwise, let's go ahead and name these piles. Okay, so pile number 1 is a green stone. Pile number 2 is this kind of orange looking stone. Pile number 3 is the black stone. Pile number 4 is the yellow stone. Pile number 5 is the blue stone, and pile number 6 is the red stone. So what I want you guys to do is, if you have not picked a pile, go ahead and pause the video so you can pick the pile that resonates best for you, the one that's calling to you in whatever way. And if you already know which one, we're going to go ahead and start with pile number 1, the green stone. All right. Hi, those of you who picked the green stone, here is your reading. Okay, so we have the release of metamorphosis. We have vision. Okay, I'm going to just tell you there's a lot of cards, so I'm just going to name them and put them out, and then we'll go through them, all right? We have career. Okay, we have December and June. All right, we have the pig, we have the coins, we have the tower, and we have the butterfly. We also have the emperor, the 5 of wands, the 3 of coins, the 9 of swords, sorry about that, the Hierophant, the lilies in the tower, and then we have death. Okay. All right. So right off the bat, I just want to say that the biggest theme that I'm seeing right now is the idea of transformation. Okay, because we have death and the release, which is like this is going to be like the death card in the traditional deck. This is non-traditional, so we're going to read it as a non-traditional card, though. But we're talking about a metamorphosis here, a big change, that kind of thing. So I do see death and rebirth cycles are going to play a big deal in your life this year. Let's go ahead and start with these 3 cards. Okay, so you have the career card. So this year, probably the biggest and the most influential area of your life is going to be around your career. If you're a student, then it's going to be your studies, your vocation, basically. If you're retired, it's going to be around one of the things that you do that is kind of like what you've replaced your career with, you know, the energy that you would have been putting towards your career, wherever you're putting that energy, okay? And so, and this could also be volunteer work. It can also be, it could even be something like a project, like maybe you work as a nurse, but you're also writing a book, you know, so and you might be focusing on the book instead of your career as a nurse, but it's just, there's going to be a definite focus on career this year for you, okay? And then these 2 months are coming out because these are going to be the most important months for you in 2021, okay? Understand this is a general reading, so for some of you it's going to be just one or the other, but for most of you it's going to be both. And so just keep in mind that December and June are going to be big months, okay? All right, so now that we've got those taken care of, I'm going to put these over here in the corner so you can still see them. And we are going to move on to the tarot, okay? So let's go ahead and just kind of spread these tarot cards out a little bit so you can see them best. Oh, my cat just decided to get into my purse. Sorry about that noise. He's going to be turning 1 in February, so he's still a kitten. Okay, so anyway, I just want to show you I have 2 different tarot decks that I'm using. All right, this first tarot deck, I only took the major arcana cards out. All right, so that we could get kind of a focus on a major area of life. Okay, that is going to be for you guys. Okay, and when I say that, I mean you guys that pick this pile. So just like career came out, we have the Hierophant. The Hierophant has to do with learning. It also has to do with socializing, sometimes networking and stuff. But the Hierophant for me, when I think about it, I think of a teacher. I think about, you know, I think about school. I think about learning, okay? But it really ties in really well with career as well, because, you know, a lot of people go to school in order to get certified to do certain things for their career. So just understand this is going to be a time where you're going to be learning a lot, okay? Whether this looks like going to school or going back to school, you know, those of you who are students are like, okay, well, I'm going to be focusing on my school this year, but it's like, it's going to be a really special learning time though for you. It's not going to just be like, oh, you're going to learn something. It's like, this is a time where your mind's really, it's like it's more malleable. And so it's like you're able to take in a lot more information, and it's like that knowledge is going to turn more to wisdom. Okay, so when I say learning, I'm not just saying, oh yeah, so this year you might go to school. I'm not saying it like that. I'm saying it like this year your current knowledge that you have about the world is going to be challenged. It's going to change. Some of the things that you know to be true right now are going to actually be twisted a little bit, and they'll be true in a different way by the time you get to the end of 2021. You're going to be taking on some endeavors that are going to really, it's just going to really change the way that you approach life. And it's going to be for the better, okay? These are positive cards. I did pick cards specifically for any kind of negative information. I'll get to that later, but this is a positive force, okay? This is not a negative force at all, okay? So we've got learning. That's great. In the 4 tarot cards that came out that were just regular, you know, we also got another major arcana card with the Emperor. For some of you, where December and June is involved, this is just indicating that also April might be a big deal too, okay? So kind of keep that in mind. I do want to mention that the Emperor is associated with Aries, so you know, keep that in mind in case there's a person that comes up that's an Aries. This would be a male person, regardless of your gender. This would be a male person. But for, you know, but generally this is going to be talking about how you're going to feel like you're a lot more in control in areas that has to do with, it's almost like maybe even not without meaning to, you are taking on a leadership role, or people are looking to you as a leader, or they're coming to you for special advice, that kind of thing. But you're okay with it. It's not anything you're uncomfortable about. Understand that people are going to be looking up to you. Understand that no matter how warm and emotional you are, there's going to be a feeling of being a little aloof when you're in the presence of these people, like when people are coming to you for advice, maybe, or maybe, you know, given the career, you know, maybe you're moving up in your job and and there are more people under you, something like that. But in your life, you're going to have some kind of community that really respects you. And one way this could come up is just if you're active on a forum or in a chat, you could just be really popular there, okay? And so you're kind of a figure there, right? So it's just a person that has somewhat of a lead role, let's say, in an aspect of their life, okay? So you're going to find that you're going to be playing, I guess, the main character, for lack of a better word, in a lot of people's lives this year. So that'll be an interesting aspect here. When I get the Five of Wands, sometimes I'm a little bit, sometimes I'm a little uneasy. Other times I know exactly what it means and I'm not uneasy at all. I just want to say, and I'm just being honest here, okay? I'm a little uneasy with this because I don't know exactly what it means for each person, okay? This can come up and be kind of playful, all right? It can also come up and mean like competition and that kind of thing. It can also mean a lot of misunderstandings. We're going to have to look at some of these other cards before I can say for certain what I think it is, but it could be any of those. Like, just understand this is going to be a time where you're very aware of other people in your life, or if you don't have a whole lot of people that are around you, the people that you do interact with, you're going to be very aware of it being kind of on a wittier level or on a intellectual level where you might be feeling like you're competing. You might feel like you're kind of trading witticisms back and forth, and it might be some times where it feels like there's some conflict there, okay? Understand all of that's kind of part of a normal relationship, though. I mean, it wouldn't be very exciting if it was always smooth, I guess, you know, at least I don't think it would be. But it, you know, given that it's a, it's not a major arcana, given that it's more, the way it's coming through, it feels like they're going to be small things, okay? So if this does come through in a more negative way for you, and for example, maybe this year is just difficult to get along with people, that kind of thing, it's going to be smaller things. It's not like it's going to really overburden your life. What I am seeing, though, for 2021 is it's just a lot of anxiety and worry. If we kind of take a step back and look at just the global consciousness right now and what's going on in the world, there's definitely an understanding why there would be a whole lot of anxiety, okay? You know, the world is a very interesting place right now, right? So it might just be that you're continuing to respond to some of the turmoil that's come from 2020. I do want to mention that because it does feel like it's closer to the beginning of the year than the end, okay? So like the first half. But another thing that I'm seeing, though, obviously, is with this metamorphosis, with death, we're talking about change, okay? And any kind of change, even if it's a positive change, will bring about stress, okay? And stress and anxiety are obviously connected. So I would just say that this year, if you're going to make a resolution, you know, I know many of us have already made our resolutions if that's, you know, what we've decided to do. But if you're going to make a resolution, resolve to maybe get your sleeping schedule really good. Make sure you get maybe some extra sleep every night. Make sure you're eating healthy. Make sure you're taking care of yourself so that any kind of stress won't affect your body as much as it could if maybe you weren't taking those precautions, okay? That's my best advice for that, because a a lot of this, you know, I mean, but then again, you guys probably know this, but a lot of this stuff is in your head, you know. It's you thinking about things and creating, you know, worry and nervousness because of all of these unknowns, okay? But again, it's kind of a byproduct of change, and change is going to, I mean, you're going to be going through a lot of changes this year, okay? Finally, we have the Three of Coins. Now, normally, this is connected with career and work. So I just wanted to say, with career coming up and the Hierophant coming up, you know, it's kind of along the same lines there, okay? I really feel like this is like you're going to be recognized for the effort that you've been putting forth in school, work. It could be the situation where you're kind of a leader in a community, that kind of thing. You're going to be getting a lot of recognition, a lot of feedback. Some of this feedback is going to be stuff that you're not going to be asking for, okay? So kind of keep that in mind, you know. People are going to want to comment on that. But what I'm getting, though, is that it's very positive comments, okay? So there's that going on, too. Another way that this can translate, I don't think this is going to be as much of a deal this year, but you are going to be going through some periods where you're going to want more positive feedback. The good part is that this shows us that all you have to do is ask, because people will be willing to give you feedback, and even honest feedback, not just, you know, flattering you and that kind of stuff. You know, it will be honest feedback. So do keep that in mind. So basically, we have positive feedback when it comes to your work, achievements, that kind of stuff. We do have anxiety. We have a where there's going to either be a very playful, you're going to either be in a playful situations a lot with people. You might be in a competitive place a lot with people, or there might be some small arguments, or misunderstandings here and there. Because I can't even go out and say that it's an argument. It's like, it's just maybe a misunderstanding that needs to be straightened up. With the Emperor, again, you're going to be in a situation where you're kind of in the lead in some kind of area in your life, and it's going to be a positive thing. You're going to feel, like I said, the one thing with it, though, is that you have a lot of control over whatever community it is that you're in, and just kind of keep in mind not letting that go to your head too much, or not abusing that in any way, that kind of stuff. You know, with the Hierophant and the career card here, we've got, you're learning a lot. You're making some major changes there. And again, with the Emperor, we do have April, okay? Possibly an Aries male entering your life. And then we have December and June there. Okay, I'm just going to put this over here because we've already dealt with those, and I want to be able to really delve into these other ones, okay? So we have Vision. We have the Lenormand. We've got the Lilies and the Tower. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this. Oh, how interesting. We have the Tower again here. All right. So with Butterfly, we have a change for the better. Okay, obviously, butterflies, tend to allude to metamorphosis, because of the chrysalis and the change that way. So we do have positive changes. So again, like I said, sometimes when we get stressed and we get anxious, it's just because there's change, and that's what stress is change. So, you're going to have some positive changes. With the Tower, we have a solid foundation and success with effort. So again, what you're putting your effort into is going to be rewarding, okay? And you will see a lot of success in that area, okay? Again, we've got a lot of focus around work, especially with coins coming up. We've got money's going to be coming to you. This might be unexpected. There might be a time during this year that money will come to you unexpectedly, because usually this card's not going to come up unless it's a surprise, okay? Or it's not planned, let's put it that way. And then we've got the Pig, so we've got Beware of Greed. So that would make sense if you are learning a lot, and if your focus is on your career, or your vocation, or even maybe your hobby. Just be aware that sometimes we can you know, we can let our success go to our head a little bit, and we might want to take advantage of that. I feel like it's more of a taking advantage of situation than it is about just wanting more and more. And this is not the same energy as a scarcity consciousness where it feels like there's not enough, okay? And because some people get those mixed up. A scarcity consciousness is like when you don't feel like there's enough, and so it's like almost like you hoard and you want to keep things close to you. And so, and this would be somebody who might have a lot of money but not want to spend it like a miser, that kind of person, right? But this is more like beware of greed, like, you know, take your blessings as they come, and beware of feeling like maybe you're entitled to more than what you're earning, if that makes sense, okay? Just be aware that energy is kind of around you this year. It's interesting because we have that message repeated kind of here. We've got the lilies, which I interpret as being purity, okay? So we have purity when it comes to work or a corporation, okay? When we have the tower, that often means some kind of organization. Obviously, a tower could be referring to a skyscraper or some kind of major business. It could also have to do with the government, some kind of situation with government, some kind of situation at a place of worship. You know, we're talking about an organization here, basically, okay? This could represent your own organization, all right? And we have purity having to do with that. So make sure that when you are looking to expand your horizons, you know, when you're looking at what you can do to earn money or to earn success, to make sure that you go at it with a pure heart. I feel like this is natural though for you, but it's kind of reiterating what this pig says. Now I'm going to give you another interpretation of this, which is going to be just as true, okay? We also have a lot of time that you're going to be spending by yourself this year. And I'm not saying you're going to be lonely, okay, because we've got the purity here. But there will probably be more time that you spend by yourself than maybe previous years, or more than usual. But it's because you're going through these changes and you're learning, and you need that time to yourself in order to go through that, okay? So, so yeah, keep in mind that you might be a little bit more isolated this year. That's okay though. I'm not getting any negative things over here. So here's the real meat of the reading here for the year for you. So we've got death, and then we've got metamorphosis, and this is the equivalent of death in the traditional tarot. Again, metamorphosis is a little bit different though. I mean, the death card is often read as death and rebirth and that kind of stuff. We're talking about cycles and stuff like that. That's the way I feel about this right now, is that we're talking about you're leveling up, and it's going to give you some growing pains, basically. There's going to be some parts about it that you might feel like grieving, or that you might feel like really attached to, okay? There might be some things that you're going to be leaving behind this year that you might think that you'd like to stick around in your life. However, these things are moving out because it's bringing, you're making way for something better to come in. And something that's really good about this year for you is that the good that comes in ends up being very quick, okay? The changes are going to be very quick when it comes to this kind of thing. I think that if there's a theme this year for you, it's definitely change, positive change. And it's change that is going to really help you get a different perspective on the world. And that's as far as basically they're letting me say. I mean, and when I say that, I mean, I don't know what to call my intuition. It feels like, the way it feels like somebody's talking to me sometimes, and it's like they're not giving me more information, but they are just saying that there's going to be a lot of change, okay? This is an interesting one. We've got vision coming out, and I think that part of this is talking about you having a lot of creative ideas this year, yes, and all of that. But I feel like it's also talking about your own intuition, especially when it comes to love, okay? This card I picked for Matters of the Heart, okay? And so when I picked it, I didn't just pick it for love and relationships. I picked it for basically your heart chakra, the energy of your heart, okay? And you will find that you're feeling very intuitive this year when it comes to your interpersonal relationships, okay? So understand that you know, the lesson of trusting your gut and that kind of stuff is going to be a big deal this year. But we're also talking about you. It's got such a positive feel to it that it feels like it's almost like you're having a vision of something that's going to happen. Maybe it's even meeting somebody. And that's going to happen sometime this year. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of you who picked this pile end up meeting somebody new in love this year. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this reading. Of course, if you would like a private reading, you can always order that. Otherwise, I will be posting another video on Thursday, and I'll see you then. Hi, those of you who picked the orange. Here is your reading. So we have choices, cause and effect, love, August, February, shield, star, a dog is close up, and a dog that's far away. Okay. We have death, the devil, the world, the Knight of Wands. Oh my goodness, the Wheel of Fortune. Gosh, look at all of these major arcana cards. You're going to have a big year. Okay. We have the mice and the key, and then we have indecision. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and, I mean, we've got a lot of stuff to go over, obviously, but let me go ahead and get some of these out of the way real quick. So this card shows what the major focus is going to be on this year, okay? So this year for you is going to be a year where most of your focus is going to be on love, maybe relationships too, okay? Not just romantic love, but you're going to be examining your feelings, okay, a lot. With August and February, for most of you, this is going to be both months, but for some of you, it's going to only be one or the other. These are the months that are going to be kind of big for you, okay? The most important things are going to be happening either in August or February or both. I feel like it's going to be both for most of you, though, okay? So I just wanted to explain those cards at first, so that we can kind of put these in the corner here. And let's go ahead and I promise we'll get to all of it, but we're going to just look at we're just going to look at the tarot. Okay, just want to show you, these are two different decks. In this deck, what I did was I took all the major arcana cards, and I picked one for each pile so that we could kind of zero in on a theme for the year. And so for you guys, those that picked this pile, your theme is kind of like moving up and down the Wheel of Fortune. So we're talking about for every time you really get up, okay, and you're really going really well, just be aware to really appreciate that time, because there's going to also be some lows this year. And when you're in those lows, understand that, you know, it's going to be kind of like a roller coaster in that way. It's not going to be as jarring. It's not going to be as violent as a roller coaster could be, but there's going to be some ups and downs this year, okay? And it's almost like your task this year is to navigate those ups and downs while having an inner feeling of calm and equilibrium as you're looking at the fact that your life is kind of transitory. I don't know if that's the right word, but it's like it's like temporary. It's like every circumstance that you're in is temporary, and for you to understand that things can go up and down. That's not to say that you're not going to have things that are steady in your life. It's just that there will be lots of ups and downs, okay? We have a lot of passion this year, too, for you. So when we have love and we have passion coming out, that does give me the idea that it's going to be in the more romantic way, okay? But interestingly enough is that we've got you attracting someone else, okay? So this is going to be passion coming from someone else around you, okay? Now, not all of you guys are going to necessarily like the person that's giving you this, but just know there's going to be somebody that's going to get real hung up on you this year, okay? Keep that in mind. Now, let's look. This is some big stuff here this year. So, excuse me. So we have some transformation going on. That makes sense, you know. When we have the Wheel of Fortune, we've also got some cycles going on of gain and loss and that kind of stuff, rebirth, and you know, this is the whole cycle. Okay, so yeah, there's going to be some changes. You are going to be feeling like there's an element of toxicity in your life. I feel like this is going to have to do with the way you're interacting with people. I don't feel like this is going to be like a substance or anything like that. It can apply to that. But I feel like this is more about relationships. This is more about the way that you're interacting with people. So understand that no matter how chained you might feel in a situation, okay, we've got these people in chains. These chains are very loose. If you look closely, you see that these chains are loose. They can just take them off, okay, and get rid of them, right? So just like the Death card, understand that there might be some things that you need to get rid of in your life. They might be relationships, or it might be just certain aspects of relationships, like setting boundaries so that more negative things can't happen the way that maybe they were before. But we do have just this situation of kind of feeling locked into kind of negative habits. Again, the toxicity is what comes to mind. It's like, it feels like there's something that's kind of toxic in your life, and that you are going to want to change that. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to change it. You're supposed to get that. You're supposed to get to a place in your life this year where you are perfectly poised to get. It's almost like you're optimizing your happiness. So it's like what you do with feeling like enmeshed or in a toxic relationship is going to set the stage for how happy you're going to be later on. Okay. With the world, we have a really cool thing here going, and I would say if you haven't made a list of goals or resolutions, go ahead and do it, because you're going to get what you want this year, okay? Even if you get things that you don't want, like maybe this person's not somebody that you really want around, you will get everything you set out to do. So if you want to make a list of some goals, if you want to go ahead and start writing some resolutions, if you haven't already, go ahead and do that, because you're going to be very successful this year, okay? And I feel like, you know, when we have the Wheel of Fortune, we have ups and downs, right? But it's like the world coming out lets me know that the net is going to be more ups than downs, you know? Just be aware that, you know, I think another thing is that, you know, like what I was about to say, just be aware that as you're going through your ups, just be aware of the perspective there, okay? And I think that that's probably more what the Wheel of Fortune is talking about than it is just about that change. But I mean, you can't have the Death card without having some changes going on, right? So we do have some of that too. So now that we've gone through that, let's go ahead and look at this card. So we have the Seven of Hearts. You're going to have a lot of choices this year, and it feels to me like it's going to be difficult to make decisions this year compared to others. And I think it's because you're in a place, and I almost want to say finally, but you're in a place where you've got a lot of positive things to choose from. Okay, it's almost like you don't know what to pick because everything's so good. All right, so you're going to be very, very blessed this year. When this card comes up, one of the things I think, and I think it's very important for you guys, is that when you're in a situation where you have the opportunity to make a choice, sometimes it's not really about what choice you make, but just that you make a choice. It feels like the choices you make this year are going to be very important in showing you that you can make the right choices, okay, if that makes sense. So basically what I'm saying is, I feel that you're taking more action in again, like you're putting yourself in the best place you can be to get what you want. It's like you're being more active in your life when you're saying, you know what, I'm going to go after this and I'm going to go after that. And so when you get to a point where there's a lot of choices and you don't know which one to make, it's like, well, you can make one of them and still come back and do the other one, or you can make one and then decide, no, I'm going to turn around and do something else. I feel like there might be even an element of exploration in order to get to where you have the world with this choice card. So I feel like it's more about you need to make a choice than it is so much that you have a lot of choices, although both of them will be true, right? All right, so since we've gone through that, I'm going to put these cards here on top so you don't lose focus of that. I'm going to try to kind of put these a little bit to the side here so we can look at these other cards. Okay, so this goes perfectly with the choices card. So when I picked this card, I picked it for, what is going to be a block? Is there going to be any blocks, and how is that going to look? So for your pile, for those of you who picked this pile, the block's going to be indecision. You're going to be finding yourself having difficulty in making those choices, right, that we're talking about. And, given this card is really talking about having a lot of different choices and a lot of different options. So I could definitely see why indecision would come in. I can also see why indecision would come in with the energy with the devil and death and the wheel of fortune, because all of those energies talk about change, and they talk about taking control, right? And so when we have this indecision, it can be kind of difficult to move forward. The important part to know is that when indecision comes this year, when in 2021, as you're getting to those points where it's difficult to make a choice, try to remember, if you can, that it's important just to make one. And making a choice doesn't mean that you have to, just because, like, let's say you have two things to choose from and one of them is black and one of them is white, okay? I'm just using this as a simple thing. Just because you choose white doesn't mean you can't go back and choose black instead. And just because you choose black doesn't mean that you can't go back and choose gray, right? Basically what I'm saying is that you're going to have enough options to make mistakes with your choices and be able to change your mind, is what I'm saying, okay? So the indecision is really going to be getting in your way when it comes to moving forward. So this is kind of like your obstacle this year, okay, is to come over indecision. So we've got cause and effect, okay? And what I think is important about this is that this is what is going to be the energy of your heart this year. This is going to be where a lot of, I think my cat just made another noise, but this is a different cat that's outside. I'm sorry, you guys didn't see the first reading, most likely, so you didn't hear my cat make a noise that time. But yeah, sorry, the cats are just very active right now. But okay, so, you've got love as a focus card, right? And then we've got this as being representative of your heart, right? So the cause and effect card is really letting you know that the amount of love that you put out is what you're going to be getting back, okay? Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that if you pour a whole bunch of love into one relationship, that relationship is going to give you that back, but it's just that as you are going about your business and interacting with people, know that when you're interacting with people with love, that love gets spread around and it will come back towards you. Okay, that's what I mean. So given that love and relationships is going to be a big deal for you this year, be aware of that. That's a really interesting card to get for this, in that typically the kinds of cards, typically the kinds of words that are on this are like forgiveness or affection, things like that. But this is more talking about how you can take action to create more love in your life. And it's just it's really beautiful, because all of this is talking about how you can make that change to get what you want. All right, so let's go ahead and look at these cards. So the dog far away is talking about a distant friend that's going to, so whatever long distant friend, or if you have a friend that moves away, know that you're going to maintain that relationship. And then the dog close up is that we've got somebody who lives close to you also. So you know how we have love here, and then we have these two cards that have to do with friendship. It's interesting to me, because I feel like, yes, you're going to have a lot of relationship stuff too that you're going to be wanting to spend time with. The good news is that you're going to be able to have people to connect with. For some of you, a long distance relationship is going to turn into a relationship that's going to be closer together. So one of you or both of you are going to move to get to a point where you guys can spend more time together. So that's also positive. We also have the star. We've got guaranteed success. I really feel like this is success in love, though. While this definitely doesn't just apply to that. I am looking at it in context, and I feel like you're going to be very successful in love this year. You're going to be successful in getting what you want as well. Now the shield says you need to defend yourself. I really feel like this has to do with this devil card, talking about needing to make sure that nothing turns into a situation where it could be toxic. Like I said, this could have to do with substances and stuff like that, but I just really feel that whatever it is, it's like an illusion. It's like whatever you need to protect yourself from, you have the key to protect yourself, okay? It's funny because we have the key over here. But it's like, how to do it. It's just about doing it. It's like with the choices and the indecision, you've got to make that decision that you're going to take control. Because that's another thing. You've got a lot more control this year than it might feel like at first, okay? Okay, so we've got the mice that are taking away from something else. We don't know what it is that they're taking away from, though, okay? But the result of them taking away from that is that you're going to start getting some answers, all right? I feel like this is kind of sitting out separate from the rest of the reading, in that it's like talking about how you've got, it's almost like, it's like all of this stuff with love and all of this kind of stuff. And also, you're going to be getting some answers this year, okay? The answers might have to do with love, but they might have to do with other things in general as well. It feels like it's kind of disconnected. And so I just want to kind of mention that the answers aren't going to just be limited to love. There's going to be a lot of answers that you get. Given how successful you're going to be this year with the World card, I can't say enough how positive that card is. I personally think that the World card is even more positive than the Sun card, and just because you've got everything that you want. With the Sun, it's just happiness and pure unadulterated happiness and joy. But with the World, it's like you're secure in that. There's some kind of naivete that is taken out of that, and it feels like it's a lot more solid. So anyway, yeah, so whatever the mice is taking away from, it's going to lead to answers, okay? So what most likely would come first here would be something like the book, which would be mystery or secrets, that would be something that would make sense to come here. But it's like, the mice are taking away from something, and what you're gaining from that is answers, okay? The way that the Lenormand works is just, sometimes, I only pick 2 cards, but the mice was definitely the first card. So I guess that how this is going out with you guys, with this particular reading, is that with each one of you individually, it's going to be a different thing. It's big enough to where I can't be specific about it. That said, it looks like your year is going to be very eventful. It looks like it's going to be very successful. This is a very, very positive reading. Keep in mind, August and February, I do want to say the Devil card is associated with Capricorns. So, this... for January and at the very, very end of December, that might be a key time as well. There might be a Capricorn coming into your life as well. I just wanted to address that as well. Okay. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed your reading. Of course, if you want a private reading, I offer those as well. Thank you so much for watching this, and I will post another video on Thursday. Hi, those of you who picked the black pile, sorry. Those of you who picked the black pile, here's your reading. And I do want to go ahead and give you the heads up that there's going to be a lot of cards. I'm just going to tell you what they are, but once I've laid them all out, then we're going to go into what they mean, okay? So we have the beginning, initiation. We have joy. We have wealth. We have July, October. Okay, we have feather, bread, rainbow, pin. We have the 10 of coins, the 10 of wands, the Knight of Pentacles, and the King of Cups. Okay, we have the High Priestess. We have the birds and the letter. Okay, and then we have doubt. All right. So the first thing I'm going to go over is what these cards mean. So one of the things, your major focus this year is going to be on wealth, okay? It might be that you're going to be focusing on materials, okay? It could be that you're just focusing on growing in abundance, okay? Or it could be literally money, okay? I feel like this... It's interesting because it's a general reading, but I actually feel that for most of my audience, we're just talking about abundance, okay? We're talking about creating more in your life, okay? So that's going to be the focus. July and October, for most of you, it's going to be both months are going to be important months for you in 2021, okay? So... just know that these are key months where more things are going to happen than the others. For some of you, it's going to be just one or the other. But for most of you, it's going to be both. Okay? Excuse me. All right. So now that we have wealth in July and October taken care of, we can kind of put those to the side and start interpreting the rest of these cards. Okay. Remember that I'm going to be interpreting these with the idea that we've got this idea of wealth that's going to be your main theme, okay? Or I should probably just call it abundance because that's the way it's coming through to me. So a big theme this year, in addition to wealth, and I just want to show you, these are 2 different tarot decks. I took all of the major arcana cards from one of them and decided to put one in each one of the piles so that I could also have another focus card. So this is going to be more of a major focus and these are going to be more minor focuses, okay? So the High Priestess came through, which means that we're going to have a lot of time this year for you guys where you're going to be focusing on your intuition, building that up, but you're also going to be just kind of studying like esoterics. That's the best word for it. It's just things that most people don't know a whole lot about. You're going to be specializing. It's like you're going to be super specialized in certain areas. The High Priestess is also talking about feminine energy, getting into touch with your feminine energy. So those of you who are guys, those of you who are more masculine women, just know that it's going to be a time this year where femininity is going to be more of the answer than masculinity. So that has to do more with yielding, with kind of waiting and see instead of taking action, that kind of stuff. So kind of keep that in mind. With the High Priestess, we also have intuition. That is what I feel is the most important aspect of her, okay? Is that you're just working on building your intuition, okay? Some of you guys are going to notice that this year it's going to be more difficult to sleep at night. For those of you, just know that that's because your intuition's really awake right now. And when we are calm and start to relax, like we do right before we go to sleep, that's when our intuition has the ability to talk to us the best. And so for those of you who have restless nights this year, understand that restlessness is caused because that's typically the time where your intuition can make itself known and talk to you. If you want to avoid sleepless nights this year and all of that kind of good stuff, which I'm assuming you would, go ahead and take some time where you can just sit in a comfortable chair or lie down and relax for about 15 minutes to allow your intuition to come to you at a time that's a little bit more appropriate, all right? And that'll clear that up completely. Just know a lot of feminine energy like that. And I just have to mention, I don't normally talk about the background when we talk about the High Priestess, but we've got pomegranates here, and pomegranates do have to do with abundance and just looking at, you know, the wealth card with abundance and all of that. You know, that is another thing that the High Priestess is talking about. But for me, it's like an abundance of intuition. Okay, so I feel like this year you're going to be able to just get in touch with that area of yourself a little bit more, because you know, I do know that a lot of people that watch this channel are already really in touch with your intuition. So yeah, speaking of abundance, here we've got the Ten of Coins, which does tell us that you have a lot of abundance in the material world. Understand that this is a little bit different from the wealth card in that this is talking about materials, okay? So yes, you're going to be able to have a positive year when it comes to money or when it comes to materials, okay? You're going to be basically feeling at the top. You know, you're going to be feeling like you have done a really good job this year. I feel like this is going to come closer to the end of the year than the beginning. So if it's off to a little bit of a rough start, don't worry. It's going to get better. In fact, the time that I would tell you it's going to get better is around the end of February. All right. We are going to see you wanting to hold on to some of your creative ideas. It's almost like you don't want to release them yet. This would be somebody who's basically sitting on like, let's pretend they've written a book. And they're basically sitting on it. It's like they don't want to share it with the world yet, but they've got it. Just understand that this kind of attitude can limit your abundance. Understand also that it might be your intuition that's telling you to hold on to that, okay? And it's, you know, definitely listen to your intuition over me. But when I see this, I do see this kind of feeling that it might be time to let go of some of that kind of stuff. And I don't mean let it go like, you know, oh, I've got a book. Oh, well, I'm just going to throw it in the trash. I don't mean it like that. I mean, let it go into the world so that other people can appreciate that. Okay. Understand that you do have a lot of gifts that you can offer the world. That's not just for money. Okay. And that this year you have an opportunity for that kind of energy exchange. I just kind of got hit with that a little bit stronger in my intuition here. It's like you have the ability to really change the attitude of a lot of people around you this year. So understand that energy exchange, on the one hand, it might feel a little draining because those of us who are empathic, and those of us who feel that our energy kind of being sapped from us, can sometimes want to like hold on to that and be like, hey, get back. But you are in a position right now where you can create a lot of positive change in the world just by being a positive influence in people, okay? So kind of keep that in mind as well. The Knight of Pentacles is letting us know that there's going to be a slow progress of something positive happening that's going to add to your abundance, okay? It's going to be slow though. Let's see, we have June and October. I was going to want to put this in September this year. Okay, so there's going to be a time around, I want to say August, September, or October, where an investment's going to really pay off. Okay, so just know that it's going to be a little bit slow coming. For some of you guys, this is going to be an offer. Somebody's going to make you an offer around that time. But for most of you, it's like an investment paying off. Then we've got the King of Cups, which is kind of like an also card. So like, and also, in addition to all the, to the wealth and all of this, also, you're going to be kind of feeling like you're more of a master of your emotions this year, okay? So I see you putting a lot of effort into investigating your emotions and figuring out where they're coming from and really using them to help you approach the world with a very a more even or a more balanced view, okay? So, this might look like in some areas as feeling emotional, okay? But overall, this year is going to be approached with emotional wisdom, okay, on your part. So you're going to be feeling more in control of your emotions, okay, even if they might make themselves known a little bit more, but you will be feeling more in control, okay? All right, I just want to address this because it's just very clear. We've got the birds, they sing, they talk, well, some birds do. They sing, they talk, this typically has to do with communication, all right? And then we've got the letter, which is also communication, but it's more like short-term communication. Some people who read in the modern world, because the Lenormand was made a while ago, talk about how the birds represent Twitter, because they're little tweets. Either way, I'm just letting you guys know that, okay? I'm not saying that you guys are going to suddenly start multiple Twitter accounts. But what I do want to say though about this is that we've got a lot of communication happening. So I feel like this has a couple of other implications, okay? It's not just, okay, well, people are communicating with you or people are talking around you. I feel like it's like you've got access to a lot of information. People are willing to share with you. People are willing to open up with you. Now, I was mentioning being empathic and all of that kind of stuff with the 10 of Wands. And I do want to mention it's more than normal, okay? For those of you who are used to people kind of coming to you for advice or wanting to open up to you, it's going to be more than just any other year, okay? This is a little bit bigger. But you'll notice that there's a free flow of communication. If you've been in a situation up until this point where you've had little communication with some people that you'd like to get in touch with, that kind of stuff, it's going to open up, okay? It feels very positive. I don't feel any kind of negativity around here. One thing that I do want to say though, just because it is a more traditional way of reading it. And I just want to let you know that the birds can sometimes reference anxiety. They're like kind of little anxiety. And the reason is because the birds kind of hop around, they flit around, and they kind of give this feeling of being a little restless and anxious, okay? So it might be that when you're anxious, you're feeling like communicating, or other people are going to be communicating to you about their worries. But intuitively, that's not what I'm getting. Intuitively, I'm just getting a lot of communication. Communication's opened up, okay? But I did want to tell you about that, just in case for some of you, that's the way it applies. Okay, so here's something interesting. We've got a pin, and for that is a new job or career. I do want to mention this, the beginning, initiation. I haven't come to this card yet because I didn't want to talk about it yet, but this probably goes with this. I do feel like there's going to be something new, like a new journey you're going to go on. It might be a job or career, but given that we've got this abundance, it could be something a little less literal as well. Okay. So for example, a new job or career, it could be just like taking up a new hobby or learning something new, adding to, spending like new job or career could also be like a new job or career, like at home, like maybe you have a new job where you're spending more time with your family, that kind of thing. And you've got more of an abundance of family interaction. Okay. It could be a lot of different things like that. I just want to let you know, when I said for some of you guys, that's what it's going to be. But for a lot of you, it's not going to be that literal. Okay. It's going to be a new endeavor. It's like you play a role. Okay, so maybe a better word would be a new role. Okay, we've got the rainbow. The most difficult part of a situation is over. Yeah, this does not look like a very difficult year for you at all, which is great news. I mean, really, really great news. I see a lot of productivity this year, and just being able to get a lot of things done. It feels really light to me, and I can say, you guys are number 3. The first 2 readings didn't feel this light. So it is definitely much, you guys lucked out. Let's just put it that way. We have bread, prosperity, and abundance. I just want to hold that up there. Let's see if it's focusing on there. Just want to show you that word. Okay. Cause again, it's just the word that keeps coming up as a theme this year. And then we've got feather. Okay, someone is undependable and insincere. So do understand, someone's probably going to be disappointing you this year. I feel like this is a closer friend, though. It doesn't feel like somebody in love. It feels more like a friend or a confidant, and it's going to be enough for it to cause a stir for you, but it's not going to be so bad that you're going to cut the person out, okay? That's the way that I'm interpreting it, and that's the way it feels. Again, it just doesn't feel heavy enough for it to be a major loss. So this is either going to be a friend that just kind of makes a mistake, and you're able to forgive it, and you guys go on, or it's going to be somebody that you don't really feel that attached to anyway, and they're going to make a mistake, and then they're just going to leave your life, but it's for the better, that kind of thing. So do keep that in mind. Given all of this communication, though, it's like I almost want to say don't think about it too much, because you're going to be getting so much information through communication anyway, that it's almost kind of to be expected that there's going to be some things that are going to be unreliable, but it just feels like this is a little bit more close to home. Like this is a friend, this is somebody that you thought you could rely on, that kind of thing. For your heart right now, you've got a lot of joy. Okay. I picked this card to get some energy around the heart and see what was going to go on there. And we've got joy. That's very self-explanatory. You guys are going to be feeling very happy this year. You're going to be feeling, again, with joy, that also feels abundant to me. It just looks like you guys are having a really, really blessed year. Okay. Excuse me. My throat's a little dry. So, with the beginning here, the initiation, just going to put these cards out so you can see them more. So we do have something new happening. Again, we've got this new role, the new job, career thing. That's what it probably is referring to. But for some of you, this is going to be a new relationship. All right. Maybe even a new romantic relationship. But I think in general, this is just something is going to be starting out. It's going to be starting out in the beginning of the year. So either it's going to be this month or the next. Okay. It's not going to be something that comes at the very end. And this is going to be another thing that you're going to be able to build on, and it's going to really turn into something just really good for you. Okay, so you do have something new coming in. So this card I picked to indicate any kind of blocks. Like, is there, you know, what is going to be the major obstacle for you guys this year? And what is something to keep in mind is kind of like your task to kind of focus on so that you can kind of overcome it. And what you guys got was doubt. Okay. So when we're talking about doubt, you know, we've got not only self-doubt, you know, doubt in our own abilities, or doubt in our own efficacy, okay, how effective we can be in the world, but we also have doubt in other people, okay? And given that we have this, that somebody might be insincere with you, or, you know, it's like this doubt, it feels like this could get out of control if it's aimed at others. It feels like it could get out of control if you're talking, if we're talking about you maybe being more mistrustful of others. Now, there's a place where mistrust and doubt is very important, okay? We're talking about using critical thinking. We're talking about making sure that you're protecting yourself, making sure that you have your boundaries out there, making sure that if you have an intuition about somebody that maybe there's something weird going on there, you know, like you doubt them, you've got to trust yourself and not doubt yourself that maybe that's what's going on. But understand that there's going to be a lot of times this year where you're going to find yourself in facing something that you're doubting in, and you've got to look at that situation and really look for the facts in this situation. Like I said, you are going to be feeling very masterful over your emotions, okay? So I don't feel like your emotions are going to be getting in the way of your good judgment, okay? But also understand with this information right here, we've got, okay, a very open flow of information. People are going to be talking to you. You're going to be able to share ideas and that kind of stuff. When you're feeling doubtful, start listening to what other people are saying. Start listening to, you know, start going over your communications and that kind of stuff. And that should be the remedy to this, okay? I really feel like these two things are connected very strongly, okay? Another way that you can go is when you act with your heart, with love and that kind of stuff. When you feel doubt, acting with your heart can sometimes help dispel that as well. So and given that joy is where your heart is aligned right now, is this your heart naturally wants to feel positive and happy. Understand that this joy comes, like, it can shine light onto the doubt and let you know whether or not the doubt is founded in something, or if it's something that might be your own insecurities or your own nervousness. Okay, guys? All right. I hope you enjoyed your reading for the year. Regardless, I hope you have a wonderful year. I post regularly to the channel, so those of you who are new, feel free to subscribe if you like this one. And if you would like a private reading with me, I do offer those too. Thank you so much for watching. Hi, those of you who picked the Yellowstone, here's your reading. Okay, we have the universe, we have tolerance, we have happiness, we have September, we've got May. I'm just going to say, you guys, we have a lot of cards to go through, so I'm just laying them all out, okay? We've got the wreath, the well, the arrow, and the sun. These are all very positive cards. Okay, the Seven of Cups, the King of Wands, all right, the Five of Cups, the Seven of Swords, I'm sorry, the Six of Swords, I apologize, the Chariot, okay, we have the Fox, followed by the House, and then we have Patience. All right, so let me go ahead and, okay, let's go ahead and start here. So your focus this year is going to be on happiness, on how to optimize your happiness. Okay. And because that's your focus, you're going to end up finding a lot of things that make you happy, and that's very exciting. Okay, so that's good. And then for September and May, the reason these months came up is that for most of you guys, these are going to be the 2 big months of the year. Okay, just more things are going to be happening these months. For some of you, it's going to be one or the other, but for most of you, it's going to be both of them. Okay. So now that we have these out of the way, I can just go ahead and say we're going to put these in the corner, and happiness is going to be your focus this year. Finding ways to maximize your happiness. And then we've got September and May. Okay, so now that we have those taken care of, let's go ahead and look at the tarot. Okay, this is a non-traditional tarot, but this would be the world. But we're going to look at that later. When I say the tarot, I'm talking about the traditional tarot here. Okay, so I just wanted to show you at first here. We've got 2 different decks. This particular deck, I just took out all of the major arcana so that we'd have like a kind of a more of a major focus, kind of like happiness is in this deck. We've got the Chariot. That's kind of the focus. So your focus right now is very much like happiness is going out and making things happen. Okay. So, and I say going out, the Chariot is a very, forward, forward, energy. So when I say going out, I just mean that I was just thinking about moving forward. So we've got you moving forward, but we also have you moving forward with confidence and feeling like you've got, the ability to really create positivity in your life. Okay, this is somebody who wants to go after. They want to go after life. In the phase of life that this represents in the major arcana is a phase where somebody's just come out of adolescence. They've probably been through college. And now that they've got a little bit of information, and now they're able to kind of know what their head wants and what their heart wants, they're able to kind of put all of the information together, put those 2 concepts together with the white and the black, the head and the heart. You're able to look at 2 opposing views and hold them together. It's like abstract thinking and that kind of stuff. And they're able to go forward with that. Okay, so we've got somebody who's kind of just starting out and about to maybe get start their career, that kind of stuff. Now, you don't have to be that age in order for this to apply to you. It's just, that's the energy here. So for you, you're going to find that you have a lot more energy this year than usual. Those of you who might be more lower energy like me, all right. So you're going to have more energy than usual, and you're going to be really feeling like being an active member of creating just creating your own happiness. It's the best way I can put it. I mean, and that is what the Chariot's about too. So I'm not just, referencing this because it's easy to. It's also, that's what the Chariot is about, is going forward and creating your own happiness. So here's some information about how you're going to do that and some of the smaller, I guess, themes that are going to be going on. So we have the 6 of Swords, which is, it's kind of like, for me, it's like a relief when I look at it. It feels like, it's like your mind is clear, okay? I'm not saying that those of you who have maybe some kind of mental disorder, or, those of you who have, issues there, okay, people who have maybe some kind of disorder that affects their thoughts, how clear they can think and stuff like that. I'm not saying that that's not going to be there. You will have to deal with that, but it's like your mind is going to be so much clearer because there's not going to be so much clutter in your life. Okay, it's just going to feel really. It's just going to feel really calm. I just feel so calm when I look at this card for you guys. This depicts somebody who has taken all their thoughts and they've decided, I'm going to just move on. and I'm going to, and it's like the calm waters, and it's like, I'm not going to worry so much. I'm not going to think so much about things. I'm going to do, you know, it's more active. So that makes sense, you know, as far as why this would come up in a reading that has the Chariot as one of the major energies here. We do have the Five of Cups. This could refer to an actual grieving process, okay? Most likely it's going to refer to some things that you're going to have to lose in order to bring new things in, though. And it just feels like there's going to be some attachments that you're going to have to break. It's weird, though, because especially with it next to here, it doesn't feel that bad. Now I don't want to mislead anybody. For, you know, this is a very devastating card. It can mean just deep grief and sorrow. It can mean depression. It can mean you know, a really major loss. But it doesn't feel that way intuitively for me. So I just want to mention that whatever this loss is, either you're going to be very prepared for it, or it's going to be something that it's like you grieve it because you enjoyed it. It's like you grieve it more like in a sentimental way, even though you know that you need to move on. So understand that there might be a time where there's grief, okay? But that grief is going to be more productive grief, okay? With the King of Wands here, we've got somebody who wants to take action, okay? So again, back to the Chariot and taking action, being in control of your own happiness. This person can be a little theatrical, maybe a little prone to drama, that kind of stuff. But I feel like if this is you, if this represents you, you're fine with that, okay? It's not even so much about being theatrical or dramatic, but it's more like being yourself, being fully yourself, and almost being a larger than life when it comes to that, okay? The King of Wands is also very charismatic, very passionate, very creative as well, okay? And also a very warm person, okay? There's a lot of... and I mean, the wands do, you know, the element with that is fire, but I mean, it's bigger than just that. It's like the King of Wands is just a very warm, charismatic person to be around, okay? And I feel like most of you, this is describing you. It's not describing necessarily a person in your life. Although for some of you, this is going to be a person. But for most of you, this is you. This is you. You're playing this role of being very passionate, getting what you want, being full of yourself and without any apology, which is great, feeling comfortable in your own skin, and feeling really creative, okay? Something that you're going to find this year, which is another thing that feels so good, especially compared to this, you know, which kind of, I feel like it almost negates it, but it's like, I feel like you've got this, I feel like you've just got so many different things that are laid out for you this year. It's like, I almost want to say that you don't have to work that hard to get what you want this year. But the Chariot does show that you are moving forward. You are taking action. So yes, you're going to have to take action, but it's like you're going to be finding all these different ways of achieving your goals. Now, some of these, if you look at this, some of these ways of achieving your goals are going to be not so great, with like the snake here, and some of them are going to be good with the jewels here and the castle. Okay, it's just about which path you choose. And I feel like I can't even really tell you whether or not you should, you know, look at your opportunities and maybe take a risk and pick the snake, and maybe there's a risk there, but it ends up working. Or maybe you should go the safe route, the route where you're going to get more money maybe, or more fame, or whatever it is. It's just, you've got to choose a path this year that is yours, that's very authentic to you. And I feel like that's going to come natural for you. But I also feel like it's important to let you know that even though, yes, you're going to be taking action to reach happiness, there's going to be a lot of opportunities just kind of laid out there. And it's more about you saying yes than it is for you to even go out and try to find it, okay? Although this is very important. This is more important than the fact that you're going to get things laid out in front of you. It's more important to take action, yes. I'm not trying to say to just sit around all day and that things are going to fall into your lap. I'm just saying that you might start out basically thinking that you're going to need to put more effort into whatever endeavor you're doing, okay? And then you'll find that it kind of meets you halfway. It's like that, okay? So I wanna put these aside and take out these cards first and look over them as well. And since we've already gone over these, I'm going to go ahead and take these and put them here. So we've got happiness, May and September, so you can keep that in mind. And now we're going to go through these. Okay, so we have the arrow. You're on the right path regarding some aspect of your life. So again, yeah, you're on the right path. You are on a path, definitely. You're taking control of it. It's going to bring happiness for you. It's going to bring prosperity for you. Just go for it. You know, the arrow is a very active card and it's moving, you know. So just understand that. But again, with the Chariot, we do have that energy to do it, okay? You do have the energy, or the motivation might be a better word. So we have family wishes coming true. That's an interesting one because it's talking specifically about family. So this might not necessarily be good fortune for you, but somebody in your family might have some good fortune, okay? It could be that somebody you know graduates college, somebody you know gets a job, you know, a really good job, you know, in your family, or that you start a family, you know. It could be a lot of things. It could be, you know, maybe you have a desire to create a family and that's something that you do this year. It just depends on what your agendas are and what your family is like, okay? We have the Sun, which is happiness and well-being. And this is really interesting to me because I didn't know what this meant when I first saw it. It tells you right here. In fact, if I hold that up, I think it'll focus on it really well and you can read it yourself. But we have sorrow over a loss, and it's really interesting because we have the Five of Cups here, and then we have the wreath that says sorrow over a loss. So that does kind of validate this a little bit. You know, we've got you're on the right path, you know. We have, you know, happiness and well-being, you know, I mean, happiness is coming up twice, you know, so we've got positivity, but in there is some kind of sorrow that's going to happen, okay? And again, it's talking about a loss. It's like something you have to lose in order to gain is the way that I interpreted it originally, and that still feels true. So kind of keep that in mind. You know that there is gonna. I mean, it's not like it's gonna be all great, but whatever this is, I feel like the buoyancy of the rest of the energy is going to help this not be hit as hard as it might otherwise, okay? So let's go ahead and move to these before going to the Lenormand. So when we have the universe, which is the same as I'm sorry, the same as the world. I mentioned that earlier in this particular deck. This deck does have to do a lot with relationships, okay? So we do have you expanding your relationships. This might mean that you have more friends this year, or that you're expanding upon a relationship you already have, and that's getting bigger. This is also talking about getting what you want and getting, and sometimes that means getting closure too. Although I don't think that it's going to be closure for most of you. I mean, I feel like it's like that's a and also closure, but the main idea of this card is getting what you want. What I find is interesting is that it's like getting what you want in love. And I just want to show you, this is a love deck. Okay. So yeah, it's like, I feel like there's something about getting what you want in love, or there's something about expanding your love, that kind of stuff. And since we're talking about that, I picked this card specifically for matters of the heart. Okay. And so what you're going to be wanting to put forth when you're looking at your relationships and when you're looking at love is being a little bit more tolerant of other people's, let's say, eccentricities, okay? Being a little bit more tolerant of other people, maybe kind of getting on your nerves a little bit. Also, it goes both ways. it's also kind of asking people to be a little bit more tolerant of your own quirks and your own weirdness, okay? Because, I mean, you're going to be wanting to be fully yourself with the King of Wands energy. So, you know, understand that, you know, the more tolerance you give out, the more tolerance you'll get as well, okay? So this is just the area of the heart where your heart's going to want to go in order to reach that equilibrium, okay? So when we're talking about kind of emotions and that kind of stuff, it's like, I feel like you're going to be needing to practice some tolerance there, all right? So in the block area, which is why I picked this card, we've got patience. So one thing that kind of makes it difficult when you've got the Chariot and like moving forward and taking action, then we've got the King of Wands that wants to be passionate and just do something and be themselves and all of that, is that we do have this kind of we do get this kind of pacing that's really quick, okay? We get this fast pacing where it's like we want to move forward and we want things to happen, right? And like I said, the things that you want to have happen, you're going to have a lot of opportunities to make those things happen. We have happiness and success, you know, we have happiness here. So do remember that that's where you're going this year, okay? But there's going to be some things that the timing is going to be on a different schedule than what you would like, okay? In other words, you're going to have to wait for some things to kind of grow in order for them to be where you want them to be. Now, by the end of the year, I'd even say by around September, you're going to be, and that's funny because September is one of your months, you're going to be able to see how a lot of your goals and a lot of your a lot of those areas in your life are going to be manifesting in a positive way, okay? So you will be able to see that. It's just that there are going to be some things that it's like, it's almost like you're so excited about getting these things done and getting these things started. It's going to be kind of difficult to sit and wait for it to grow and wait for it to blossom, that kind of thing. You know, I kind of get the idea in my mind of somebody who collects really rare flowers it's like they finally got their hands on this flower, but it's going to take like a year for it to bloom, you know, and it's like that's all they want to have happen. It's like they just want to stare at that flower all the time. Anyway, just know that patience isn't necessarily about waiting around and doing nothing, okay? That's what makes it kind of difficult for those of us who have issues with patience, and I'm one of them, okay? So I'm just being very, very honest with you. I definitely have issues with patience. Being patient isn't about doing nothing while we're waiting for something to happen. What it is about knowing that there's a certain timing that's appropriate according to the universe and according to things that we cannot control, and that we have to wait for that. That we have to appreciate that it's going to take time for certain things to manifest the way we want them to. And while we're waiting for that, we can find something else to do, all right? And so I feel like your, I guess, lesson this year when it comes to patience is about filling up your life with as much positivity as you can, so that you're not just sitting around waiting for this one or two things to happen, okay? And I just wanted to say, I just got kind of chills thinking about that. I really feel like this is very, very, very accurate for you guys. I mean, I feel like it's accurate. I mean, it's funny because it's like, well, everything that I say is what I'm getting, you know, intuitively and everything. But there's something about this patience thing that just really is like clicking with me. So I really feel like it's very important to be aware of what I said about that, okay? So here we have the fox and the house. I really think this is a very direct, obvious answer as far as what's going on this year for you. But let's examine it a little bit further. For me, this is working from home, okay? I feel like there's going to be some opportunity for you guys to work from home, and that is going to be something that might be even a goal this year for you, okay? For those of you who work from home, just know that this is showing abundance there, okay? You will be particularly happy with that situation. The fox can often refer to somebody who is someone you work with, somebody who is very clever. It's about finding ways around things, you know, finding like there's the straight path, right, to getting what you want. But then there's sometimes you need to go around certain obstacles, and you just kind of figure out a way to make things work. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a negative way, though. Because the fox is associated with kind of negative associations as well, as being like too clever, you know, that kind of thing. I feel like for this reading, we're talking about literally working from home, okay? But that said, we do have to look at the other aspects that this could be representing. This could represent somebody who is a little bit deceitful, or who is maybe like using their charm against you, and they're around your house. So this might be a neighbor. It could be somebody who's living with you, but just that kind of thing. I really feel like that's not going to apply to most of you. I would say maybe 10%, and this would be somebody you already know is there, okay? This would be somebody you don't feel comfortable with around your house, and they're either a neighbor or they're somebody you live with, and you definitely know who it is. It's going to be one or the other, okay? Otherwise, the general reading for most of you, and I would even say for those that, you know, feel uncomfortable with someone, it's also working from home. There's something having to do with making money at home, okay? So kind of keep that in mind. So, I'm just looking at this whole thing. This looks really positive. I mean, yes, there's this loss that's going to happen. But I feel, again, like everything else is going to be bringing everything up higher. I mean, I'm using visuals when I'm trying to explain things. I mean, like, I'm getting that this is not as heavy because everything else is so light. You know, that's why I mentioned the buoyancy before. So, yes, be aware of that. But also know that you've got a lot of really good things going on this year, even in spite of the Five of Cups. You know, we do have, you're working on happiness, which is great. So the one thing that I can say is that happiness as a focus card is not very specific, okay? So I feel like this year for you is going to be varied. When we see all these different opportunities are going to be covering all areas of life. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of positivity that you're going to be generating in all areas of your life. It's not just in, for example, career or family or, you know, or friendship and that kind of thing. It's going to be more like, you're not going to be focusing on one area. You're going to be more focusing on just being more happy in everything that you do. All right, guys. So hopefully you enjoyed this reading. If you did, you might want to subscribe to the channel. I do post readings very often, regularly. Those of you, you know, who enjoy this reading might be interested in a private reading. I do offer those as well. And regardless of what the cards say, I hope you have a wonderful year. Hi, those of you who picked the blue pile, here's your reading. Now I'm just going to tell you all the different cards and then we'll interpret them. Okay, so we have elevation, we have a chain, hammock, stork, rabbit, we have March, April, success. We have the Five of Swords, the Nine of Coins, the Ten of Cups, the Nine of Wands here. We've got Justice. Okay, we have the book, and the child comes first, and then the book. We've got the Ten of Trees. This is a non-traditional tarot. And then we've got Fear. All right, so we have a lot to unpack here. Let's go ahead and start with these three. March and April are the 2 months that came up for you guys. These months are going to be the ones that you get the most activity in this time period, okay? In March and April of 2021, that's going to be when the big things happen. That's when maybe they're going to be more busy. Maybe something more important is going to happen then. Okay. So I just wanted to go ahead and explain that. So March and April, for some of you, it's going to be just one or the other. But for most of you, it's going to be both. Okay. And then we have success. This is your card, letting us know what you have to focus on in 2021. And so what you're going to be focusing on is a more broad subject, which is success, rather than a more narrow subject like for example, career or love, or family. You've got success. So what you're going to be looking at is ways to bring success in all areas of your life. Okay. So it's like, maybe there won't be an area that is more prevalent than the other. So you will have a very balanced year when it comes to all the different areas, but you will be increasing your efficacy, how effective you are in all of these different relationships, and in your relationships, and then your relationship with your job or your school, or if you're retired, what you see, your hobbies, what you spend time with, all of that kind of stuff. So let me go ahead and just kind of arrange these a little bit here. Let's go ahead and start with the tarot deck. So I do want to mention, these are two separate tarot decks. I wanted to make sure that there was a major arcana card in every single pile. That way we'd have kind of a secondary focus card, okay? So there's a focus card here, which is success. That's going to be the theme of your year, is becoming successful. Here's how you do it, though. The way you do it is through a marriage between the head and the heart, okay? And being aware of what is fair, okay? It's gotta make sense for you in that it's for the best of, maybe the best for all, or it's the best for yourself. But it both incorporates feelings and it incorporates the facts and the hard evidence, that kind of stuff, okay? So what you're going to be doing is becoming more effective, becoming more successful by being more balanced and taking that approach to life. So first, I wanted to mention, you've got 2 9s, so this is about wish fulfillment. So a lot of the things that you hope to happen will be happening, okay? Especially if we're talking about material gains and when we're talking about creative pursuits, okay? And so I just wanted to mention that. Yeah, so going back to this, your major arcana card is justice. So we're talking about balance, and we're talking about fairness. And when it comes to areas having to do with relationships and family, basically areas of the heart where you're connecting with people, you're going to be extremely successful there. Okay, it's almost going to feel like things are just kind of like falling into place there, which is nice. In areas having to do with money or material, okay, you are going to experience a lot more abundance this year than last year. However, I feel like that's going to be closer to the end of the year. It's not going to be so much at the beginning. So if you're starting out a little bit rough, know that it's not going to start manifesting until maybe July or August is when you're going to start feeling like you can take some time to relax and rest, because you have a lot more wiggle room than, say, in 2020, okay? With the 9 of Wands, what we have is that we have you very active. You've got a lot of things going on, but it's not overwhelming. So, but it might be something that kind of preoccupies you in a way that it might cause some anxiety or antsy, like feeling of being antsy. So if there is anything that after a few months feels like it's something you need to cut out, don't be afraid to do that, because you will be very active this year, and it might be one of those things where you're taking on too much. And I mean, obviously you're going to have to use your own wisdom as far as like what that looks like for you. But it looks to me like there's going to be like one thing that you're going to need to cut out, just so that you'll have more room, and maybe you won't feel so worried about about making sure everything's going well, okay? There's going to be one area in your life, okay? And I feel like we've got March and April. I feel like this is going to be coming very close after this, but I don't feel like it's going to be in this month, okay? But there's going to be an area where you're going to be in a situation where it's a lose-lose situation. And the way that you navigate that is that between you and another person, this is going to be relational, okay? It might be between you and, like, let's say your relationship with work, and that you might be changing jobs, or your relationship with a teacher if you're at school, okay? Something like that. But for most of you, it's going to be either a friend, or it could be in love, but it feels like it's a friendship. There's going to be a point where neither one of you is able to get what you want, and both of you are going to be, like, I guess, cranky about that. And it's going to cause some upset for you. I would say that it's not even that, comparatively, you know, to the different pain you've experienced in your life, it's not even that big of a deal. It's just, it's going to be a problem for like a little over a week. And it's going to be really taxing. So when this happens, go into it. I mean, it'll be very obvious because it'll just really drain you, and it'll just feel like you don't know what this other person wants, and you don't even really know what you want in this situation. You just know that you're not getting what you do. You know that you're not in a positive position. So when this happens, be aware that there's just not a way for both of you to be happy in this situation. So it's gonna be kind of that, like, you guys can come together through your, like, shared misery and whatever's going on here. I don't feel like this is going to sever a relationship. I feel like it's just going to be some stress on a relationship, okay? So that said, let's go ahead and go to this card. This is from a non-traditional tarot deck, and we are talking about more matters of the heart when we're talking about this deck. It is a love deck, so just want to show you the back. You know, there's a little heart there. So what you get here is loyalty. So that goes with the 10 of Cups, showing that relationships are going to be, in general, aside from this, very positive, and you're going to be making progress there, okay? You also have loyalty here. So what's coming up for me is that this is more in love. If you are in a relationship, or you are in a situation where you're hoping that maybe a friendship or somebody that you know is going to be more, that person's very loyal to you, okay? If you're in a situation right now where you're just not really interested in love right now, you're single and you like that, the loyalty applies just more in general. People are very loyal to you. You know, and in both the groups, there's something about you that makes these people want to be loyal to you, okay? There's something you're doing. And I feel like the loyalty is like, I think that maybe you don't see as clearly as you could just how loyal these people are to you. So understand that when you're kind of navigating your life in 2021, that you do have some very strong people in your life that have your back, basically. So really keep that in mind. We've got elevation also, and you know, this is another card that I got specifically for the heart. And I just feel like you're kind of leveling up when it comes to relationships this year. Again, this is meant to apply to love, but if you're single and you're happy that way, and you're not wanting to become involved with anybody, this has to do with just in general, other people, you know, you're elevating your compassion towards them. For other people, those who are in a relationship or want to be in one, you will find that you're going to get to that point where you want to be this year, okay? And again, the 10 of Cups really illustrates that perfectly. I call it the happily ever after card. But it just shows just a whole lot of contentment and definitely success in those kinds of matters. Okay, so the card that I picked for you guys for your obstacle, basically, what do you need to master this year? What's something that might come up and be a difficulty for you is fear. Okay, one thing that is fortunate about your obstacle being fear is that oftentimes fear is completely in your mind. It's about a frame of mind of being in a situation where it's almost like you're thinking of that the most negative thing that can happen will happen, or you're getting into a new situation and you're kind of having kind of like a it's almost like having stage fright or having I get that. Okay, so when we're talking about anxiety, we talk about the fight or flight thing, you know. Well, I feel like this is more of a freeze. Like, fear is going to come into your life in 2021 in a way that's going to maybe try to hold you back, knowing that what you need, or what you're going to be focusing on and what you're going to feel like you need is more success, right? How you get that is justice, okay? So when you are experiencing fear, you can use this as a way to become more masterful in your life and becoming more successful, because what you do is, if maybe your head's telling you like, ooh, you know, there's something weird here, you know, there's something I don't trust, or whatever that might be contributing to your fear, look at what your heart says. And when both your heart and your head agree, okay, that's the time where it's okay to move forward. If your head and your heart don't agree, just wait a little while, let the situation develop, and the decision will either be made for you, or you will get that courage to do whatever it is that you're afraid of, okay? That would be my best advice for you. Just know that in the times over the next year, if you don't get anything else out of this, know that fear is basically the thing that you're supposed to master this year. So when it does come up, know that it's challenging you to be courageous, okay? Alrighty, so we've got that. Let's go ahead and look at these other cards. We have a rabbit, too much concern with sexual matters. Okay, well, that's pretty obvious. I feel like this might have to do, just because it's a rabbit, we do also have like maybe concern over a pregnancy, maybe, or concern over reproduction. Some of you guys, that's just not going to apply to, okay? But if there's going to be concern about sexuality, and it's not just, you know, maybe people are approaching you and they want to move too fast physically, or maybe you're moving really fast physically and it's like you've got to kind of put the brakes on. If it's not that, I feel like there might be some concern over a pregnancy this year, okay? So for those of you who that applies to, where you're in that age, understand that you've just got to make sure you're taking precautions, okay? Because, you know, unless you want that to happen, and then this comes to be a positive thing, you know, maybe the concern is because you want to start a family or something like that, or you want to add to your family, you know, just know to be careful, okay, if that's something that, because this is more of a negative connotation of too much concern, you know, feels like it's not really the best, right? So do keep that in mind. We do have a chain of events that'll affect your life, okay? How vague can that be? Like, really, a chain of events that will affect your life. I hope that that's focused enough for you to read that. One thing that I want to say about this, though, is that I feel like this is on a global level, okay? You have the globe pictured here. So I feel like there's going to be world events that are going to be affecting your life. A really good example from 2020 is COVID-19. Obviously, moving into 2021, that's still an issue. So that might be something that's going to be affecting your life. Like maybe you have plans. I know that me and my partner have plans to move to a different continent. All right. And we can't do that because the continent is... they're closed to us right now, okay? They've got their borders closed. So it could be something like that, that maybe you want to travel, or maybe there's something that's international going on that's going to affect you in a very deep level, okay? Or it could be just something completely unrelated. I do feel like it has to do with distance. It has to do with the globe. It has to do with international concerns, though, okay? So I don't think it's just coincidence that there's a picture of a globe on here. I really feel like this has to do with that. And I can even go further and say that for a lot of you, it's going to have to do with something in Europe. Okay, so that's pretty specific when it comes down to it. So we take a situation that looks like it's so vague and it ends up clarifying itself. Okay, so we have hammock, taking a vacation physically or mentally. So yeah, we've got a mental vacation definitely here. I definitely feel that, especially with the nine of Pentacles. We have this feeling of you're able to lie back and relax and luxury, that kind of thing. It really could also have to do with maybe a physical vacation that you want to take has to be a mental vacation, because of world events going on. And we also have, oh, how interesting, news of a birth or a new business opportunity. So those of you who are concerned about sexuality because you are interested in starting or adding to your family, this might actually be related to you. It could be that you're concerned about somebody in your family and whether or not they are going to be able to conceive and that kind of stuff. So that might be related too. It might have something completely different going on there. We're talking about success, okay? We're talking about your life right now is going to be about balancing things out and making sure that you're successful in all areas and you're effective in all areas of your life, okay? So starting something new, like a birth can be just giving birth to a creative idea, okay? And starting a new job, maybe you're a new business opportunity. That goes along with this theme. So I don't want to read too much into it, but since we do have the rabbit card here as well and the stork, it does. And then we also have the happily ever after card is a more family oriented in my mind rather than love oriented, even though it is definitely about love and relationships. Okay, regardless, I do want to mention that that might actually be something that's going to happen this year. And if it's not your own family, like your own nuclear family, it could be the family of somebody that as well that will affect you a lot. Okay. So yeah, start talking about new stuff. We have the child here. But we have the child in related to acquiring more knowledge. Sometimes the book does represent secrets or mystery. So there might be some kind of mystery involved with a new endeavor. But I do feel like the child, even though, yes, we just came off from the stork and the rabbits and all of that, I feel like this does represent something new. And it has something new to do with acquiring knowledge. It's about receiving knowledge, not necessarily being prevented from it, okay? So if you come upon a time this year where it's like you get this kind of itch to learn something new, or maybe take a class, or maybe start in with a group, or I don't know, I'm getting like do-it-yourself stuff too. I mean, it could be anything like that, but it feels like it's starting a new like hobby or learning about something new to become more skillful, okay? That would be a really great thing for you to do this year, because I'm just getting that this is a good opportunity for, for growth this year. Okay, so don't be afraid, okay, fear, to try something new when it comes to, stuff like this. For some of you, this is going to actually be going back to school, but I don't think that is going to apply to all of you at all. I feel like that's like 10% of you. But yeah, we've got something new with knowledge. Yeah, it's not really saying anything else. It's not saying that it's not getting specific there. It's just showing that you will be acquiring more knowledge as long as you say yes to it, because again, we have the 9 of Wands here, which I mentioned can caution against taking on too much, right? So ultimately, you've got to make your own call. But this looks really positive. I mean, fear is definitely a very human experience that everybody has to deal with at some times in their life, right? So the fact that 2021 will be a year where fear becomes more of an obstacle for you, that's not really that... It's definitely an obstacle, okay? That's why I pulled a card to see, like, well, where is going to be trouble coming from? But compared to what some other obstacles could be, your obstacle is very easy to relate to, and it's something that there has been so much. There's been so much knowledge put into it. Everybody knows what it feels like to be afraid and to overcome that, or to give into it and that kind of stuff. So you'll have a lot of resources as you go through periods of time when you're feeling more afraid. Okay, guys? So I hope you enjoyed your reading. Regardless of what the cards say, I do hope your whole year is wonderful. And I hope that you end up continuing to... watch my readings. Of course, you can subscribe for more. I update regularly. Or if you'd like a private reading, I offer those as well. Either way, thank you so much for viewing, and I will see you. My next video will go up on Thursday. All right, those of you who have picked the red stone, here is your reading. And I just want to say I'm going to tell you all the cards first, and then I'll go into how they're interpreted, okay? So we have the 9 of Trees. This is called refinement. Okay, we have expression. Sorry. Okay, we have marriage. We have January, November. We have turkey, eagle, flag, and V. Okay, we have, interesting, we have the ring followed by the mountain. Okay, so it's interesting, we've got marriage and we've got a ring. That's interesting. We have the 6 of Wands, Wheel of Fortune. We do have the 10 of Swords. That can be a little scary. We'll look into that. We have the 4 of Swords, we have the Emperor, and then we have health. Okay, so let me go ahead and start with these 3 because they're the quickest ones to get through, and they're the ones that I've started with for all the other readings. So this card is depicting what you're going to be focusing on the most this year. Now, because we don't actually in this deck, I just know we don't have a love card. So I just want to say that when it's marriage, we're talking about love, okay? That's going to be a focus for you, but we're also talking about contracts, okay? So this year, your major focus is going to be in areas of the heart, in areas of love, and when it comes to any kind of contract, okay? You guys got January and November. For most of you, both January and November are going to hold the most... it's going to be when the most events are going to happen, okay? They might be, for example, bigger months for you. Really important events will happen in these months, okay? For most of you, it's going to be both. For some of you, it's only going to be one or the other, okay? And just know it's because this is a general reading. But either way, this month and November, and I'm saying this month for those of you who are watching this the day it went up, are going to be the two that are going to have the most events in it. All right, so let's go ahead and just start with the tarot here. So I'm going to just focus on this. And let me go ahead and arrange these in a way there where they make a little bit more sense to me. Okay, so I want to just draw attention to the fact that I have two different decks here that I've used. This particular deck, I only took the major arcana cards out of them because I wanted to have a focus card, and I had already decided that this deck would be the one that I'd use for a focus, which would be love for you guys and contracts. But I also wanted to have, like, how do you reach that point? How do you make this focus? How are you most effective there? And that's what this major arcana card is supposed to represent. I understand some people call it arcana, but I call it arcana, okay? All right, so with the Emperor, we have you being the person that takes more of the lead when it comes to any kind of contracts or matters of the heart. We have you maybe kind of holding back a little bit your emotions. That's okay, but it's just know that for love to flow back and forth, you do have to open yourself up a little bit. All right, you've got to be somewhat vulnerable. But I feel like you're more of a cerebral person, and when I say you, I mean those of you who picked this pile. More cerebral, you know, or in your relationship, you're more cerebral. This could also mean that there's going to be a lot of influence having to do with an Aries in your life. I just want to mention that with the ram there. But yeah, I mean, even if it does have to do with that, we're also talking about the Emperor energy, though, which is the energy of more masculine. We've got somebody who's more concerned with discipline, concerned with holding back emotions, concerned with making decisions that make sense, okay? Now, emotions don't make sense because they're not supposed to, okay? You know, but with the Emperor, we're talking about logic and reasoning. It could be that you just need to bring more of that into you know, areas having to do with love, okay? So it could just be coming up because that's like a compensating energy there for you, okay? So with the other deck, we got the Wheel of Fortune, so we have another major arcana card. So this year's going to be pretty big, okay? Just because you do have one. The Wheel of Fortune, it's just talking about your luck is going to be changing a lot this year, okay? Sometimes you're going to be like on top of the world, you have everything you want and everything's great, but other times you're going to find that, you know, you're really not in a place that you're enjoying. Just know that you can bring the influence of the Emperor and the idea that focusing on love and that kind of stuff, you know, into this year, knowing that you know, the way that you navigate this year is through focusing on relationships, focusing on contracts, if that's another thing, and I'm talking about contracts like in the business world, that kind of stuff. Maybe for some of you, legal contracts, especially if you work in law, but mostly I'm just getting contracts. Like the ring tends to have to do with contracts as well, although it's also a card for marriage. So I just wanted to mention that. But yeah, so with the Wheel of Fortune, you can use the Emperor as like kind of being more cerebral about it, and also kind of having that mindset that you already know this. You already know that the world doesn't work in a way where you're constantly happy or you're constantly unhappy. It's a little bit of both. So as you're experiencing the ups and downs of the year, you also can have that perspective that you know that things can change, you know, and that things can get a whole lot better. And things can get, you know, kind of, you know, really, really take time to experience your successes, because, you know, those are really precious moments too, right? So it's like, I feel like you transcend the Wheel of Fortune this year by keeping that perspective with you, okay? So we do have the Four of Swords. What I'm concerned about with this is that this comes up when we need to have a little bit more reflection, a little bit more time to rest, okay? So this concerns me because I feel like some of you will be feeling like taking on too much, doing a lot, and that kind of stuff. Just understand that it's okay to take a break here and there. It's okay to get some me time. I feel like that is a really big deal. And the reason it concerns me is because then we have the Ten of Swords. I know it's a scary looking card, but for me, it feels like you can get drained really easy this year, okay? And I don't feel like that has anything to do with... I don't feel like that's because there's anything necessarily wrong. I just feel like it's because you're putting so much of yourself into situations that you're just, I mean, you're already bringing so much energy that it's like you spend it really quickly too. But I feel like that's what the moment calls for in this year. So, you know, just keep in mind that just as long as you're getting enough relaxation, enough me time, you might even want to go as far, if you don't already, to take some time every single day for just you time. So that you don't get so drained, all right? Because just know that this is just showing a tendency. You're going to have a tendency to feel this way if you don't get enough rest. Now, this one is more like the Wheel of Fortune. It kind of sticks out in that we have this card. So this card comes up letting us know that you are going to be successful this year. And I feel very strong about that because when I was looking at these cards, we got V for victory, okay? That's what this means. So you will find that most likely because you're putting energy into things, you're finding that you're being successful in a lot of the areas that you're focused on. And again, you know, you're focusing on love and relationship. You're focusing on contracts for those of you who are need business, like make negotiations or something like that for your career, and you will find that things are going to flow very naturally for you in that area, okay? So yes, you'll be very successful this year, and you also will be very victorious this year, okay? Let's look at some of these other ones. We have don't be tempted to lower your standards, okay? I think it's interesting because it's almost like he's holding a standard here. Yeah, don't lower your standards. You don't have to settle this year. What you go for, go ahead and overshoot if you're going to, because you're going to be able to get what you want in most areas. You know, when you're talking about how successful you will be in all of your endeavors, okay? The problem isn't going to be whether or not you can do it. The problem is going to be with how much energy you're able to put into it and how drained you might get if you don't take the time to yourself, okay? So the obstacle has much more to do with the energy. Okay, we have the Eagle, triumph over troubles and obstacles. So again, we have another success-oriented card. We have victory, triumph. We have, you know, the Six of Wands. We're talking about success. You know, we're talking about somebody coming back from doing some kind of feat, you know, and he's very excited. And I'm talking about the card. I'm not, you know, some people get really upset when I use he or she because, you know, I understand the gender fluidity and all of that. I just wanted to make sure you guys knew. But yeah, so we've got like all of the success going on. So being successful is not going to be your problem. It's going to be more about how much energy. Okay, and then we have Turkey. This is an interesting one because it's like we've got somebody who's behaving stupidly. Okay, you might find this year, and I think that a lot of people are in this position right now, but you might find that in 2021, you will have a very low tolerance for stupid people or just dumb things, all right? Or you're going to be particularly perplexed by things that seem stupid to you, okay? You know, as far as a negative card coming up, because this is obviously a more negative card than a positive one, this is about the most tame one you could get, right? I mean, I think that a lot of people get frustrated with stupidity. It just seems like there's going to be more for you. It's like, I mean, there might be an actual real situation that does affect you. So, you know, maybe people are making stupid decisions. It's going to affect you and you're going to have to put more energy into something, you know, that kind of thing. Another thing that's kind of reassuring about this card is that it doesn't seem like you're going to be the stupid one, right? It really does feel like you're removed from that. And I feel like that has something to do with like having that transcendence over the Wheel of Fortune, like that perspective that you know that things can go up and down and all of that. It's like you're able to anticipate what's going to happen. It's almost like forecasting, right? But it's also, we've got the Emperor here, which, you know, he's very reasonable, okay? So I do feel like you're an outsider looking in when you see this, okay? It's not like you're participating in it. All right. So let's focus more on these two cards I picked for love and romance, you know, regardless of what the focus card is. And since this is your focus, these should be more pertinent to you, all right? So we have refinement. So I feel like you're really boosting your skills when it comes to relationships and love and that kind of stuff. You're becoming more and more confident. And you're also becoming more nuanced in the way that you approach love and relationships. So this is a very positive card. It's also talking about, it can also talk about abundance. Like you're really bringing what you need to your relationships in order to get what you want back. There's like a very strong flow back and forth from the heart area. Now, this might be a difficult thing for you, but we do have the way that you build your relationships and the way to move forward in your relationships. Yes, we've got the Emperor energy, but we also have expression. So do know that it is important to express yourself when it comes to matters of the heart, especially like in your romantic relationships. Okay, that's where this is most going to be needed. So you know, of course, it's important to express yourself just in general, just so you can be yourself and share, you know, yourself with the world. But I feel like this expression is going to be more towards your romantic relationships. You're not going to necessarily have to be any more expressive in your friendships, you know, than normal. It's just more like it's like you've got to let people know where they stand with you, okay? And when it comes to your relationship, or when it comes to that area, you've got to make sure that you're constantly letting your person know how you feel, all right? So going back to this, where we're talking about, you know, maybe kind of like overdoing it and having less energy, and that being kind of a little pitfall for you this year, and then needing to rest and all of that, we've got health coming up as your obstacle. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is that in areas, you know, your I guess it's like your challenge, okay, is going to have to do with your health this year, okay? And the way that I'm interpreting is it's more like your energy than it is necessarily literally being sick or well, okay? Now, for some of you, it is going to be literal. But for most of you, we're talking about energy levels, okay? We're talking about taking care of yourself in all ways. We're not just talking about physical health, but we're talking about mental health, emotional health, and all of that kind of stuff too. So what does this look like? It looks like making sure that you're mindful about what you're eating, making sure you're mindful about getting enough rest, like we've already talked about, and making sure that you're mindful that if you start having some issues that are, you know, that are really weighing on you, that you might need to reach out to a counselor, or reach out to somebody who you can kind of unload onto, so that you're not becoming overly stressed. So you're not getting to a point where you're just like flat out and you've just got to take days off, or you know, when people get overly stressed, you know, they do get sick more often. Okay, so yeah, we're talking about that. You might even find that maybe you have some kind of idea about how you want to become more healthy this year, and it's going to be a challenge for you. And so this is just letting us know that as you prepare this year, keep in mind that your health is going to pose the most challenges for you this year, okay? That this isn't something that you can't overcome. This is something that you will be able to... it's just something that you can work on, okay? It's like this is your area where you're going to become a master of it, okay? All right, so moving on to the Lenormand, which is the last bit of information you have here about your year. In 2021, you're going to notice there's going to be contracts or promises, okay? Yes, but there's going to be some kind of obstacle when it comes to executing these. So it's not that the contract or promise or, you know, or something like that isn't going to happen, because we already have all of these success cards. We know you're going to be successful. We know that, you know, in this area of love and contracts, you've got positive things coming. But it's more like, don't be too nervous about the contracts not coming through like when you want them to. A very obvious one would be, let's say that you want to get married in June and you have to wait until July instead. It would be something like that. Or it would be like, you know, you want to, I'm just using this because it's a contract I'm thinking about. Maybe you want to sell your house and it's like you want to sell it by a certain day, but you have to wait like over the weekend, for example, you know, something like that. It's not about there being no method of reaching success with the contract. It's just that you've got to be a little bit more flexible. Okay, so that's what this is talking about. And again, you can keep in mind that you have a lot of victorious cards. You've got success, you know, written all over. Again, the biggest problem is going to be coming from your health. It's going to be coming from your energy levels. I really feel like it's energy driven rather than literal sickness or sickness or becoming like, you know, like for example, really, really depressed or something like that. I feel like it has a lot more to do with energy and just taking care of yourself. In fact, another way that this might have come up, it would be if, and I know that there isn't in this particular deck, would be like a self-care card. It's like really important to give yourself, you know, time just for you. You need me time, all right? Because otherwise you're just not going to be able to, I guess, keep up with all of this great stuff that's going on. You know, it's not even like necessarily a negative thing, like the way that you would think, like the way that some people would think, like, you know, it's coming up because you've just got so much stuff going on. So yeah, just make sure that you have a time for during your days or whatever, where you can slow down, so you don't get overwhelmed. That said, I hope you really enjoyed this reading. I enjoyed giving it. I hope that regardless of what the cards say, that you have a really wonderful year. If you enjoyed this reading, you know, subscribe. You know, I have videos that are updated very, very regularly. And if you'd like to have a more in-depth reading, I offer private readings as well. Just thank you for joining me. All right, guys. So that was an interesting video, isn't it? I knew it was going to be long, but I also knew that it would be really fun, and I had fun doing it. I just want to say the next video is most likely going to go up on Thursday. I do have some ideas for some bonus content, but most likely the next one's going to be Thursday. It'll be a pick a card reading. You know, again, I've been working on making my reading packages, you know, apply to a lot of different people. So if you do want to order a reading, just know that I have a lot of different options there, and I'll continue to be working on that. So I do have merchandise that's going to be, down below. Just know that there's 10 off. We'll give you 10% off your purchase. Okay, that's the important thing. That's what I wanted to say. We also have a new website coming. I'm really excited about this. It will be MomentsAre.com, but it's not up yet. Okay, so if you try to go to that site, it's not going to be there. But I do have that domain name registered and everything. And I'm going to be able to get something up next week, okay? I'll definitely mention that once it's up, okay? And I just wanted to also say thanks to everybody for all of the great feedback you guys have been leaving me. I read every single comment. Thank you for all of your likes. Thank you guys so much for growing my channel by subscribing and by sharing. I just wanted to let you guys know how much I really, really appreciate it. I am so excited about this whole year with the channel. That said, I will see you on Thursday with another pick a card reading.